And I'm gonna go live. Oh, I can't access Facebook. What's going on? Meow, meow.
Wait.
This is error. Huh. So strange. Okay. Bear with me, guys. I think Alex is trying to get in. Health huddle. Okay. Edit. Okay. Maybe no. And it says error. What's going on, man? All right. Hold on, guys. Meeting options. This thing is so funky. Unable to access my Facebook account.
Really?
Hang on. I have Facebook. Maybe I gotta open Facebook. There's Alex. Woohoo! All right, let's try that again.
Hi, everybody.
Alex.
Hi.
How's Alex?
Hello, hello.
Good morning.
Alex, meet the team.
Hi, team.
Everyone, this is Alex, a real estate attorney right here in Bayville. And Alex, this is Kyle. Kyle is with Advisors Mortgage. And
Love
Dave,
Advisors Mortgage.
and Dave is with EXP. Woo!
Awesome. What's up, Dave?
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is ridiculous. I'm trying to stream to Facebook and it just can't access it for some reason. So, you guys, oh, live streaming. After starting the meeting, click more, choose service. Okay, well. Oh, I think it's Zoom today, guys.
Yeah, it was. I think AT&T was having a problem yesterday. It was terrible.
Yeah, and now I'm on the chat window and it says you're not signed in on Zoom. I'm like, but I'm on my Zoom.
And I'll be right back.
Okay. Sorry, guys. We'll get to this. It's 10 o'clock. Okay, this is ridiculous. All right. Try logging into Facebook again. All right, so I'm gonna log out of Facebook and then log back in. It needs to be authenticated. That's
what's holding you up.
hopefully. We shall see. 802-308. What's happening with all the tech stocks? Oh man, everyone's getting laid off. Facebook's laying off a bunch of people.
11,000.
That's crazy. All right, so now it's bringing me to a blank page. Oh wait, here we go. Here we go. I'm doing it, guys. All right. And you see I posted it on the group. Ocean County. What's happening? Okay, bear with me, guys. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Kyle, which office do you work out of?
I work with Patterson and Esposito in Toms River.
Oh, okay. And Mike Randazzo?
No,
No.
no. Are you?
I don't really see it.
Yeah. Is
But just shoot me.
you're Mike's friend Alex, right?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Uh-oh, what does that mean?
He's spoken so much about you. So putting a face to the story is nice.
Oh, thank you.
We just recently met up with oh my god, what is her name? Why am I blanking on her name?
Aaliyah?
Aaliyah, thank you.
Aaliyah Cunningham?
Yeah.
I actually went to high school with Aaliyah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Now I remember she said that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was supposed to be at that meeting, but I couldn't attend. I had all these late appointments that day.
Yeah, that's right. Aaliyah kept saying like, Alex, come on. Aren't you
Yeah.
like, established?
I know.
Can't you get out of the office? Yeah.
No,
that
it's
was
just
great.
me.
That's good.
Small world, huh?
Yes.
It is.
Wow.
It is.
Amazing.
You know, and here I am
I'm
thinking
not
like,
shy to say, like literally Advisors Mortgage is my favorite mortgage company to work with.
Ooh.
that's who did, my mortgage with my wife in this house. I'm obviously going to do my own going forward,
Right.
but it was a no-brainer. I didn't know anything about the process except for, what I could read or what other people experienced, but you don't really understand until you sit down and you do it. And
Mhm.
then from that day forward, when shout out to Christy Mendez, she was the best. She was the absolute best. And when it came down like, oh, who do you want to work for? It was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Then I met, then I met Matt, then I met Nick, and then Mike.
Yeah.
And then, the circle of people that you interact with is just incredible.
Yes.
I know I invited Jen. Dave, you want to go to the Borgata on December 6th?
December 6th. Oh, for
the bash?
triple play. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sound-
That's funny. I'm going to the Brigada next week for a different event. That's funny.
Oh.
I'll go again.
Okay. There you go. See?
I'm
I'm a
going on,
triple play
I'm going
virgin.
Wednesday.
I've never been.
Okay.
Really?
Hmm. I had a baby last year around this time, so I couldn't go last year. The year before I was sick, and the year before was something else. So it'll be my first time.
Wow, amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So guess what, guys? We are streaming. Woo.
Yay.
Yeah, and so just want to introduce everybody. I'm Jennifer with eXp Realty, and today we have Alex Martinez. Alex, what's the name of your firm?
It's real simple. The law office of Alex Nieves Martinez.
There you go.
Super, super simple.
And thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle with Advisors Mortgage. Say hello.
Hello, everybody.
And Dave Moss with eXp Realty.
Good morning.
So today's house huddle, we thought we'd just check in with each other and just briefly go over what I'm dying to know, Kyle, is what's going on with rates.
Rates got quite a bump yesterday. And by quite a bump, I mean a significant bump. The averages that I'm seeing are all below, 6%. I mean, and listen, rates are, you can get lost in the weeds when it comes to rates, because it all depends on how much equity you're buying up front, the type of mortgage that you're applying for, the length of the product, so that all determines your credit score. That all makes a determination. But on average, yesterday, the bond market, which is the main determinant for where you get your rate from, when we put everything into our system and we say, okay, let's see what this person is going to, let's see the options that this person has available to them. That bond market love the fact that inflation is coming down. So it's a reinforcement of the Fed's decision to raise their federal fund rate, their benchmark rate. So, it pays off. There are people that say, and again, I won't get into this because I don't sit on any of the Federal Reserve seats. I'm not intimately knowledgeable of anybody working there. And the amount of data that they pour over to make their decisions is outstanding, to say the least. But some people say they were, a little late to do this. Some people say it's too aggressive, too fast. For whatever reason, it would appear that they did a great job. So now today, anybody who's going to begin to go under contract, there are much affordability. Yesterday was the name of the game.
Woo!
Housing is much more affordable this morning.
That's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Always good news.
The optimism, Kyle, love it. So that was really one of my concerns, because I have a new listing, and they wanted to wait just a little bit to put it on the market since they haven't secured their next home. And I'm like, well, it's better to have it on the market and, get a contract in hand contingent on your firm relocation than waiting, because waiting could cost even more buyers in the sense that we don't know what's going on with rates. And so that's excellent news. I'm so excited to hear that. Thank you. And so Alex,
good news.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought I would ask you, as an attorney, if you can give us just a general rundown of what to expect as far as closing costs, either for the buyer or the seller. I get this question all the time. I usually get, I state, it's usually about 1% above what your agent's commission is. But everyone wants to know, well, what does that mean? What does that entail? So if you have any kind of insight you can provide any of the buyers or sellers out there today.
Absolutely. So when I'm representing a buyer, one of the things I like to do on my consultations with them is I make them take out a piece of paper and I say, okay, draw a line on that piece of paper. And I want you to put in the first column, I want you to put money out of pocket that you pay, whether or not you get the house, right? And then you have a column on the other side that's paid at closing. So it's happened simultaneously. It's going to be in that one lump sum check that you're going to bring to closing. So in that first column, I usually say the first thing that's going to be in there is, unfortunately, my deposit. I take a $395 deposit up front. And that's really just to compensate me for my time for getting people through attorney review and inspections. Because as you guys know, if a deal is going to terminate, it's usually going to be within that first 15 to 20 days. And it's usually going to be because of an inspection issue. So that's the first amount that they pay. The second, after we get through, well, the first, I'm sorry, is inspections. So good inspection, I tell people, is going to run you around $500 to $600. You're not just going to do a basic inspection. You're going to also do a wood destroying insect report. In a perfect world, you're going to have the sewer lines checked going from the house to the service line. And a tank sweep search. So that altogether, you're looking at about $500 to $600. And I think that's well worth the investment to make sure that the property you're buying is what you want and you know everything about the property moving forward. The second after that, I try to get those inspections, or I try to convince my clients to get them done as soon as possible, because I don't necessarily want an appraisal ordered before we get through inspections, because that's a whole nother expense. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle, the rates went up for an appraisal, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
I think, what are we in the ballpark of? Like, is it $675 for an FHA appraisal?
You might be right. You might be north or south of like $25.
Okay. All right. So you're talking
You're definitely in the ballpark.
attorney deposit, you're talking inspection costs, you're talking appraisal. Those are your first initial upfront costs. So that's what I tell them to put in that column. And that's, again, unfortunately, whether or not you get the property, that's kind of like the price of playing this game. In the other column, I tell people to put in number one, title insurance. Probably one of the most important things you buy. It's probably one of the most expensive things that you buy. And it's a requirement. Some people, if there isn't a mortgage involved, I have seen clients come to me and they're like, oh, the other attorney told me I didn't have to have it. And that's mind blowing to me. So
Wow.
of course, title insurance goes in that column. Once we have the mortgage commitment is when I'll usually approach my clients and talk to them about the importance of a survey. So a survey is definitely an out-of-pocket expense. Some companies will let you pay that at closing. Some will prefer an upfront, but that will generally run you, depending on the size of the property you're looking, about $750 to $850, and that's without corner markers. If you have corner markers, meaning those stakes that they literally put in the ground so you can physically see the boundary lines, those are usually running about $100 a stake extra. And then from there, I tell them that you're definitely going to have to talk to maybe Kyle about what's going to be involved in your loan costs. And then you also have escrows. Those escrows are usually the ones that people forget about at the time of closing. So generally speaking, mortgage companies want to see that we're holding at least 3 months of taxes, 3 months of insurance and things like that, water, sewer. So those are just your basic closing costs. And that's not to be confused with the deposit that you bring to closing towards your down payment.
Right. So would you say it's about 1%? Would that be your guess?
Oh, no, I don't think so. It might be less than that.
Okay.
It might be less than that. Yeah. Especially with the pricing of homes nowadays, the price is so high. I don't think it necessarily affects like the down deposit, the cost of inspections and things like that.
Right. Got it. So you're looking at probably around $2,000 out of pocket before even the appraisal.
No, not $2,000. So 500, I would say about 1,000 is probably a safe bet.
Okay.
Safe bet.
Fantastic. Now that's for your buyers.
That's for my buyers. Yes.
Yeah.
My sellers, it's a little bit less involved in those upfront costs. Obviously, you're not paying for the cost of inspections. You're not paying for any of those things. So really, it's making sure that they understand their listing agreement with their agent of what their percentage is going to be at closing, and then of course their payoff statement, and then getting making sure that we prorate their taxes and things like that,
Okay.
as well as the real estate transfer tax.
And what is that?
So it depends on the cost of the home or the price of the home and what you're walking away with, but generally it's about 0.1%, I believe.
0.1?
I believe so. I think it's 0.1.
Wow. Okay. So the recording fee is.
The recording fees are relatively inexpensive. I think the recording fees are maybe $150 sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a little bit more.
All right.
I'm actually going to look that up right now because I don't want to give the wrong information for the real estate transfer tax.
I love having an attorney right here at my fingertips.
It's a powerful tool.
I know. So Dave, do you have any questions?
Oops, sorry, I had to unmute. No, I'm just listening in the background. This is great stuff. Love it.
Yeah, it's
So far.
good.
Yeah, thank you.
I get a lot of pushback sometimes when it comes to inspections, and especially the inspection costs, because a lot of people will just say, oh, pay the $450 for a standard inspection and you're done. But I feel like you're leaving a lot on the table. This is really the buyer's only opportunity to really do a thorough due diligence to make sure. And again, we're not trying to kill deals. We're not trying to scare people away. It's just this is arguably one of the biggest investments that people are making. And we want to make sure that they're structurally sound, environmentally sound, and not all inspections are bad. Some of them are just, where's your water shut off? Where are these important things that we all need to know as first-time home buyers? So that is something I really like to educate my clients on in the very beginning, and kind of take away that sticker shock and make them understand that, yes, you know, you might be spending close to $700, $800 for inspections, but that $800 is going to save you a tremendous amount in the long run.
Yeah, and while you're on that topic, I'm also a licensed home inspector, and that's the one thing we tell our clients. It's the single biggest investment you'll ever make. Why not inspect, you know, your home? It's going to be your home.
Absolutely.
A few $100s will tell you so much more you need to know, even down the road, not even right now.
Right. Again, that goes into we're not trying to scare people into buying property. It's just, you have to know those costs so that you can budget.
Yeah, it's really important to have that report.
Right. And a thorough report.
Exactly. There's two types. There's a good inspection and there's a bad one. I'm sure you know.
Right.
Right? You
We've all
review them?
seen our fair share of horrible reports.
Yep.
Dave, tell us a little bit more about what you do. I know I just introduced you with eXp Realty, but you also are a man of many trades. What else do you?
Yeah, so basically my big business right now I have is JCM Home Services. We're right on Route 9 in Beechwood. We're actually changing the home service industry. We have a whole system. We do electrical, HVAC, handyman services, and we also do small contracting work that we sub out. So we're trying to make the process simpler for the consumers out there, because trying to find a contractor, everybody knows what that's like. Trying to find somebody when you have an emergency repair. So we have a really simple system we made. You just go on our website, jcmhome.net, fill out a form, and we'll contact you within 24 hours for a free estimate. So that's the one thing I'm working on right now.
Amazing. Love it.
Thanks.
All right. Well, anyone have
Alex, I know you said that before.
Yes.
You know, the hardest thing is, you know, asking for your your deposit, but all these costs, like when people look at them, if you look at them all together, like, yeah, it seems like, wow, that's a lot of money. But like Dave just said, you know, and like you said before, your time, you're dotting all these I's and crossing all these T's for your clients, making sure that you're reviewing, you know, these agreements up front, making sure like everything is square, everything's good. You're advising them to get a full house inspection. Check everything. You don't want to walk in like once the ink is dry and then you turn the key and you hear, I don't know, running water in your ceiling, and like you haven't turned a faucet on yet, or you know, you have a pipe blowout in the winter because it just wasn't checked, or there's so many things. And obviously, you know, if you have, you know, depending on the type of mortgage that you're taking out, if it's an FHA home, FHA homes require specific things to be in very good working order for your home. These are protections for your buyers. So the conversation, I'm sure you have this conversation a lot. I have this conversation. These are things designed to protect you and protect your home. When you move your kids, your pets, your spouse in there, this is your home. You want to know that when you turn the key, you're safe in there no matter what. So you can't put money, you can't monetize safety. And
yeah, and while you're on another huge thing, home inspectors are sometimes known as deal killers. And we're not there to pick on your house. Sometimes we almost feel guilty. We're like, well, all you guys are doing is picking on my home. No, we're not here to say you need to replace your roof, you have mold, you have radon, you have this. We're bringing you awareness of what is going to happen, you potentially have. We're trying to help you.
Right.
So many people get so upset. You know the frustration as an attorney, how it is. Like the report comes in, everybody's like, I'm not buying it, forget it, I don't want to do it.
Right.
They have to understand that that's crucial information. That's going to save you. These problems are going to happen no matter how you look at it. So deal with it now. Don't hide it.
Yes. Yeah. We don't want to be willfully blind in this situation. We want to know everything, and we want to know it we have to know it in such a short amount of time. It's so crucial to have a great team on your side, so that I need a quote, I need an estimate to make sure of what these costs are. Another thing that I think I do a little bit differently is I try, if in a perfect world, when we have a decent amount of time during the inspection clause phase, if there are major things that are coming up, I don't just want one estimate. A lot of times I will tell them, get multiples and don't rely on the seller to get an estimate. The worst thing that I can get from a buyer or a buyer that wants me to do this is put it in my request that I want them to go and get a contractor and tell me how much it costs. And I'm just like, why would we ever rely on the sellers? We don't want to rely on them.
Right.
You want your own
Exactly.
people in there,
Yeah.
somebody that you trust, somebody that you know. And those things take time. And I know it's probably drives my clients insane, but I think at the end of the day, they know, look, I'm trying to look out for your best interest. One estimate will probably be high. Another estimate is going to lowball you because maybe they're strapped for cash and they really want the deal. And then another person's going to come in the middle. You take that average and that will give you your due diligence that you need to know to make an informed decision.
Yeah, like for
Also-
example, there could be something as like a simple loose screw on a stack pipe, which can cause
Right.
carbon monoxide. And would you want us to not tell you that maybe your whole family could be smothered with carbon monoxide in 2 months just because of
Right.
one screw on a flue pipe? Like this is serious
But
stuff.
Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that something that's why it's important for them to walk around with you during these inspections? So you can say, look, this is a really big issue, but it can be fixed relatively inexpensive. It's a
Exactly.
screw.
It's extremely important that they're there during that inspection because that's the best time for the Q&A. Usually at the end, we have a meetup, we do a Q&A while we're right there. Because once you write that report, we very rarely do we go back and change it. That's a locked in report, like a contract,
Right.
to change it. So they can't call back later and change their report because it has to be done at that moment.
Right.
Very
Do
time
you
sensitive.
encourage your clients to walk around with you? I feel like every
Oh,
time I bought a
100%.
house, right.
100%. Sometimes we don't even want to do it if they're not there because what will happen is they'll get the report, they'll call us up, ask all the questions anyway. And a lot of times it's slip between the
Right.
cracks. Like in real time, we're actually physically showing you why that loose screw on the carbon monoxide thing, on the flue pipe, excuse me, can cause carbon monoxide and fill your whole
Right.
house with carbon monoxide and kill everybody. So we are showing you, and they understand it better. Like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. We're like, oh, wow, I don't want to buy this house. It could have potential radon or it could have exhaust pipes that are like broken in walls that you don't even know about. There's so many things that you have to
Right.
deal with. Yeah.
So Alex, what is the normal time frame for like curing any kind of issues within the contract?
So curing any issues is a little bit different. Obtaining the information you need to know that there's an issue is usually about 10 to 14 days, I think is where attorneys usually settle on. When I represent the sellers, I always say 10. Where I represent the buyers, I always say 14. It's just the nature of the beast. But in order to cure those things, generally speaking, unless it's an appraisal issue that has to be done in order for the appraisal to be issued or to be released, and I might be using those phrases incorrectly, Kyle, so correct me if I'm wrong, but generally speaking, it has to be done before closing. So even though the inspection cost fees is only 14 days, if you have an issue, let's say with, installing maybe GFCI, something simple, they don't have to have that done by the time the inspection cost fees is over. They just have to show proof of it before the closing. And generally speaking, if it's bigger than that, if it's some kind of major repair that's being done, I usually encourage my clients to set up an appointment to go check out the repair before closing. I don't necessarily want to wait until walkthrough. Yes, we can comb through that, but it's kind of too late. And then your bargaining power is completely over because you're sitting at the table. You probably have your moving truck packed. Everybody's excited, and most people they feel like they get hosed at that point.
Right. I've been through that before myself. So
Yeah.
I understand. Wow. Great
Yes.
information.
I've had some doozy walkthroughs lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anyone familiar with the new process for COs in Tom's River?
I was just thinking the same thing because that's like another thing.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
I've been dealing with so many of those in a particular situation. Literally, it actually turned to a deal killer over a $200 repair. That's how.
What?
Yep, because of an issue with the swimming pool. They had the swimming pool inspections in Tom's River.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it actually killed the deal on their end.
So what happened?
Well, what happened, they hired us as the electricians, to do the pool inspection. And something didn't come right up on there. The township would not approve it because they want the letter, right? And they didn't want to pay for the repair. They said, no, I'm not paying. I'm selling it as is. The township will not let them sell the house. So it turned to like they didn't know who to point the finger at. Remember they had that big, huge meeting there where they're all protesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what happened. So the whole deal stopped because of $200. They just they didn't want to pay it.
Oh my gosh.
That goes
You're
back
you're
to,
selling a property as is, right? The township will not let you close on the property without it getting repaired. So whose responsibility is to fix it?
So that's when attorney review is crucial
Yeah.
especially in Tom's River. If you have a contract in Tom's River, bells should be going off in your head during attorney review to make sure that that issue is flushed out. No longer is the $750 cap acceptable, in my opinion. And for those listening, when I say cap, generally speaking, attorneys trying to limit the seller's liability for how much money that they'll have to spend in order to have the CO issued for repairs.
Oh.
So I think industry standard was usually between 500 to 1,000. Now in Tom's River, we really want to make that cap even higher because the application alone in Tom's River, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's like $350, and you have to keep paying over and over again if you need more inspections done. So that $1,000 can be chewed up very quickly, and you can have clients who get through all the mortgage applications. They've paid my fee, they paid the inspector's fee, they did everything they're supposed to do, they get qualified for the mortgage, and now the sellers don't want to make any repairs to get the CO, and now you're just
Wasted everybody's time.
you're left with, do you want to pay them and make the repairs yourself before closing, or do we walk away? And that's a horrible situation to be in for anybody.
It is. That's why so many people are upset at that meeting in Tom's River about those inspections, because again, they're like another deal killer in our equation. We have the home inspector, now we got the township getting involved, and it's just very frustrating to all these agents and sellers.
Right.
So,
I think eventually, once the details iron themselves out a little bit and the procedures, because it's so new. I mean, I remember the first one that I did, I was astonished that I had to produce basically like a power of attorney for my client. He had to come into my office. I had to draft a letter so that the township would even talk to me and the agent to help him. And that I just thought was insane. I'm representing myself as their attorney. My client is confirming that I'm going to be the one calling to help, and they still would not allow me to even speak to them. It was insane.
wow.
The procedural aspect of that whole scenario playing out is burdensome, but my understanding of it is, at its core, it is looking to make sure that sellers are improving their home, updating their home, or the things that they want to do to their home, whether it be anything they want to do, is done to the letter of the law, right? You have to obtain permits.
Well,
You have to make
I
sure.
heard a kind of a story, not to cut you off, but what happened, about 2 years ago, there was somebody that sold their house on Tom's River, right? And there was an electrical wire that was in the lagoon, the lagoons by the water. And the wire was sitting in there, and a kid went in there and put his hand on the pipe. He got electrocuted and died, because water and electricity is so dangerous. So they tried to sue the township because the electrician should have safed off the wires before, or at least had that inspected before they put the house on the market. They tried to sue the township of Tom's River. It didn't go through. So now Tom's River doesn't want to take the liability. They want to dump it onto a contractor. That's why they want that letter. You have that letter that's stating that that contractor or electrician was the last one to look at those wires and saying that they're safe. That's why it's actually a life safety issue. It's a higher priority than anything else.
I can understand that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then,
I think we can all get behind that.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's why.
And then as a buyer, when you come into a home, there's a bit of, and I have it myself, so I can, from my perspective, I walked into my home with, and I got an inspection, right? And I did the walk around with Justin. Oh my God, I got to remember his last name, because I'm definitely going to shout that guy out. He is thebomb.com. We walked around and he looked at everything. And Lucy and I, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, were like, oh, you learn about your home. This is where you're going to live, right? This is where Abigail was born. This is where the boys moved into. So like, you want to know about your home. But I walked in with a bit of, naivete, like, oh, okay, everything about this home is perfect, and any work that the previous homeowners did was done to code by a professional, and it was done masterfully, as if I was the first family. And that isn't always true. You have a friend who's like, oh yeah, I do bathrooms, or yeah, I do a little wiring on the side. He can come in, you have no idea what they've done. So I can definitely understand the township. And yes, it is burdensome, right? Procedurally, we all understand that it's definitely a burden, but they are trying to protect people, sellers, buyers, and obviously in that horrible situation you just said, Dave, children. You know,
Right.
that should have never happened. We can all agree to that.
No,
Absolutely. It was almost a perfect storm when it came out though, right? Because it's such a seller's market that
Yeah. Yep.
most sellers had the
Yep.
mentality where I'm gonna put this up on the market.
Yeah.
I'm gonna list it for the most I can get, and I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
okay. In a market, in a seller's market, you can. But Tom's River kind of came in and was like, no.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
pump the brakes
yeah.
real hard. They're like,
Yeah.
no,
Yes.
you slow it down.
And all these
Yes.
rehabbers were getting nailed, all these little side projects without permits, finishing basements, not
Yup.
putting egress windows, not doing smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. They're all getting caught and they're all really upset. Damn, we got caught for
Yes.
finishing that basement. It's a whole snowball effect. It really is.
But I think once everybody again learns the procedure, I think
Yeah.
once Tom's River figures out a smoother procedure to help people to assist them in these applications, I think, like you said, Kyle, in the end, this is going to be a really great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
for
and
right
I-
now, we just
Yeah,
have to pull our
100%
hair out.
Yeah, and I think that, and you're probably going to know this way more than I do, but I think Tom's River's kind of leading the charge in this area of like this. I don't want to call it a crackdown, but like a retooling of how they go through this process, of offering these COs.
Not necessarily. I feel like a lot of other towns have full-blown inspections, maybe not to the extent that they require electricians to write letters and things like that for outdoor electricity, but I'm thinking of Ocean Gate in my head in particular. That's where I'm from. That's where I bought both my homes, and we needed to have a heat certification to make sure that the furnace was operable. It was a full-blown inspection. And a lot of times I look at that, or I always look at that of which town we're in when we're going into the inspection clause phase, because some towns, you might not care that there's a big, huge gaping hole in the ceiling. And if they don't have a full blown inspection and all they care about is a CO and a fire detector, well, then you're going to get a CO. Other towns, I know that the township is going to care. So either you're going to have to pay for that cost up front, if the seller doesn't, or we're going to have to ask the seller to pitch in and get it done.
Yeah, every town is case by case basis. They have their own rules. Like I
Right.
know Ware Town and Lacey is a little more lenient with the COs. I don't even think they have too many CO inspections.
Yes, Lacey, it's just you need to have a proper fire extinguisher and CO2 detector. That's a separate application. And then they just simply do a permit search to make sure that there's no open permits. So a letter of no interest.
Yeah, it's case by case. Like even like Seaside has their own rules. Because we do a lot of work in Seaside Heights, and they have their own electricity, their own grid. They don't really deal with anybody, so they have their own majority having jurisdictions, what it's called. So
Right.
yeah, it's just again, it's all about protecting the public. That's why, like you said about Tom's River doing this, that's all they're really trying to do. I know people get upset about losing their real estate deals and their money, but again, people is the highest safety of all.
Right.
I couldn't imagine being in that situation like you highlighted, where again, you're under the impression of, and speaking for myself, my own naivete when I walked into my home, I would never want to naively stumble across something that is hugely dangerous or dangerous for my kids. So kudos to Tom's River for the thought, and hopefully other towns are going to follow in how far, and how much they want to retool their thinking and make it as be as protective as Tom's River is, but hopefully they'll follow in the footsteps and have the procedures in place to make it a lot smoother, instead of it being kind of like, it almost feels like you were stuck in traffic and like somebody's just like brake checking you and you're just going, just like, oh, just a little bit, at least we're moving, but you're really only doing like 10 miles an hour. Because then people,
Exactly.
like you said, people just they're fed up. They just put their hands in there. They're like, I'm done. That's it. I don't want it.
Yep.
I don't want it. It's fine. I'm not paying for the paperwork. I'm not doing it. Never mind. I'll live here. You don't get the house.
Yep.
Right. A lot of managing of expectations early on.
Oh, yeah.
That's like when you ask for your fee, right? People look at you and they go, $395. What are you going to do for that? Or the appraisal fees, or why do I have to have the thing that I struggled with the most once I realized it was escrow and reserves. I was like, whoa, wait, why do you have to hold my money? And I understand it now, right? Because I understand my mortgage now, but there's a lot there's a lot to understand, and there's no, I didn't have a course on this. You know, I didn't have a course on, that's not true. We had to take a first time home buyer course, but I didn't have a course on financially understanding all of the intricacies of attorneys, inspectors, title insurance, which is massive. It's a huge advantage for everybody. I didn't understand that. So stuff like this, if stuff like this was available to my wife and I when we were buying, I would have felt 1,000 times more comfortable.
Right. Even as an attorney, I had just passed the bar when I bought my first house. And you're talking about escrows. The insurance escrow was I could not wrap my head around that. I was like, wait a minute, I just paid a year of homeowners insurance in advance. Why are you taking out monthly payments for homeowners insurance again? And then, of course, it makes sense in the long run. You need to have that. You're always a year in advance. So there's never a lapse in coverage. I get it. But as a first time home buyer, even as an attorney, that was mind blowing to me. I'm like, why do you need this?
It's a different mentality, because when you go to for your car insurance, right? You pay your car insurance monthly. There are so many things that people in any walk of life are used to paying monthly. Okay, the bill is due on A, I pay it on A or the day before A. But when it comes to like, nah, actually, we're gonna hold we're gonna hold a good chunk of your money, and it's like, wait, why? That's my money. Like,
yeah,
people just don't get it. But the coverage, because you don't realize anything, coincidentally, something could line up where if you didn't have that reserve, you have a lapse, and that's the day that something will go wrong. Murphy's Law says, right?
Yes.
You don't want to be in that situation. So now I understand it. But somebody coming into somebody purchasing is going to be like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
It's a complicated animal, and
yes, it is.
We wouldn't be here if we didn't like doing what we're doing and didn't find it intriguing. You must have conversations, even though it's the same. Maybe you're talking about your fee or title insurance or the inspection you were just talking about. Like, what? Hey, Alex, why are you telling me to get like this? The Cadillac of home inspections. Can I just get like a regular Honda inspection? No, you want the best. And you have that conversation, but the way that you have it across different people and different homes and different settings, I can't imagine the variety of conversations you've had.
Yes, it definitely varies from couple to couple. I'd say a great percentage of them, though, once it's explained to them, which is what my job is essentially. I'm literally there just to walk you through and explain why we do the things that we do. At the end of the day, it's usually not a lost concept. They get it and they understand that. No, I'm not just being crazy. I'm trying to protect you and your investment at the most. Yeah,
I'm your friend. We're all your friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alex and I had a closing recently, and I was so impressed, Alex, because right away, boom, email everyone, timelines, documents. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Thank you. Well, you know what? It's important that we all work as a team. When we all work as a team, things go a lot more smooth and we can all help each other out.
Wasn't that what we were saying last week, Kyle?
Absolutely. Because if you receive an email, and that's the thing, I was telling Jen this, Alex, and Dave last week. I learned and knew that I wanted to be with advisors because the way that my mortgage was prepared and the way our home buying journey was done was excellent. It was exquisite. So I want to provide service in the same way that I was given service. Kind of like how you raise kids.
Right.
You can either, raise your children the same way your parents did because you liked it, or you could do it the opposite just because, maybe you were like, I didn't like the way my mom and dad did that. So the way that, shout out Christy Mendez, the way that Christy did our mortgage is the exact same way I want to do it going forward. So we were shown the right way. And when you, I lost my train of thought.
Well, you were saying, essentially you loved it so much, the process and the communication, right? You felt like.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So I never received those emails that was like, oh, I'm waiting to get in touch from so and so, and you played the waiting game. It was seamless. So that's the benefit of having the team, is that you don't have to wait because you don't know what this person's up to or what this person's doing. You're all on the same page. You're all working together. You know that email's coming, and you have that confidence, and you exude it to your customers. Because my wife was a little more prone to the hiccups. If she was also super pregnant. So when if anything went awry, she was like, oh, is this the house? Oh, I don't know what's going on. we can calm down, because it was smooth. And you have to put yourself in that situation where you want people to know that you're in good hands, and nothing says you're in good hands like consistent communication, emails getting out on time, your team working together, and have the confidence to know that even though we haven't spoke that day, I know that Alex is working hard on this case.
Yes,
I know that Jen
really
has
important.
done, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I was gonna say my first house was through Rich Fingerland through Advisors Mortgage. And then
Okay.
I also work with Mike Randazzo on a tremendous amount of files. And I will say this, I never have to worry about getting a call a couple days before closing going, I don't know what my closing costs are, or I didn't know that I was going to have to bring, X amount of dollars to closing. I never have to have those worries, because you guys are trained from the beginning to have those conversations up front with your clients and explain to them what these costs are going to be in the long run. And that I thank you for, because I've been on some other deals where that's literally the worst call that I can get right before a closing, is a client being so upset because they were not expecting the amount of money that they had to bring to closing. And I try to tell them in the most politest way possible, like that should have been a conversation that you had with your lender from the start, from day one, almost.
And that's important for us, because sometimes we, the lender, don't get the brunt of that frustration. Sometimes you, the attorney, or I was just going to say, Jen and Dave, you guys get the conversation, because we are introduced, and any part of us are introduced as, hey, these are people that I trust on my team, right? These are people that I work with regularly. Well, you've vouched for them. So then when you vouch for them, and I don't want to say the fault, but the frustration comes with like, hey, but you kind of told me about that guy or that girl, like you pointed me in this direction. So it's important that we all know that we are responsible for the feedback that we get from our clients for each other, right?
Oh, yeah.
I want you, Jen, Dave, Alex, to get positive feedback about me, right? In this situation, I guess no news is good news, right? But good news is good news as well. Like, hey, thanks for that recommendation. It just, your reputation is vital, and you should guard it at all costs. And I respect your reputations individually enough to guard yours as well.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and it's a matter of trust,
Yeah.
Like I trust you and Alex and Dave,
Right.
that I don't have to worry that something's not getting done, or you left a loose end somewhere.
Right.
And if you do leave a loose end, we're human, right? We have families, we have lives. The world does, there's still 24 hours in a day. Things do come up, but having the integrity to make that cure that situation, hey, I forgot something, so that you're never coming up blind. And different people have different tolerances. I'm pretty sure I could speak for most people that say, if you found if you were missing $1,000 from your closings, right? Like, hey, you need to come up with another $1,000. That for most people, that's probably in the realm of nuclear. Under $100, you're not too thrilled.
No.
Right? Under 100, you're not too thrilled, but it's manageable. But anywhere over 100, hundreds of dollars, that math should have been done, and that should have been disclosed. So I'm glad, Alex, that you have good good dealings
Nothing but
with
great
Mike and
feedback
Rich.
on that end. Nothing but, honestly, I can't say anything. I have no constructive criticism. Every person from university title, hello, Advisors Mortgage, had university title on my brain this morning. From Advisors Mortgage has been flawless. And even if they didn't get to the closing table, honestly, not all deals close, but there's a manner in which that we explain it to the clients of where things went wrong with their mortgage and how we can help them on the next deal moving forward. And that's something that you guys are really great at as well.
Yeah. So, you know, and that's the thing that I always work on with Mike. Mike is my number one. He's my number one guy to bounce stuff off of, you know, and I like it. So I come from a counseling background, and that was kind of part of my understanding was we would all sit around and we would talk about the clients that we had, right? And we would do a consultation, you know, we'd give feedback to everybody about, and some people would ask, and sometimes, you know, we would just, hey, are you open to feedback? And we would kind of look at everybody and see, just put a different set of eyes on it, a different perspective. That's, you have a different perspective. Jen is perspective. Dave, you know, from JCM, he has a perspective. So he's somebody that you know, hey, Mike, can you just take a look at this for me? Oh, okay. Yeah, looks good. Right. And I trust that he's put his eyes on it. Sometimes it'll be Nick, it'll be Matt. They know things, they hear things, they've seen things or done things. I don't discount anybody's knowledge. You know, it's vitally important to always have good people there that you can fall back and you can trust on. And if you do have to have a hard conversation, you've had them. So, you know, I'd be like, hey, Alex, how did that work out for you? You know, or Mike, hey, you know, oh, I've been in that situation, buddy. You know, it happens, but you know, here's how I handle it. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Jen.
Yeah, so
You look like you want to say something.
oh no, just I mean, you're spot on. The last closing we had, I had a frantic call from my client. What do you mean I have to bring this much money to the table?
Look at that face, Alex.
It was a horrible experience.
Yeah, one that we don't want to be in again.
No.
What is that saying? You can lead a horse to water.
Yeah. But you know,
we got through it.
Yeah, we did. Thanks to you. And that's what, you know, as far as being on a team, you know, you and I can communicate at any hour of the day. Right. And, you know, these deals happen all day long. It's just a matter of getting to the bottom of it and digging deep. You know, last week I was telling everyone, Alex, the situation I was in. A friend of mine purchased a home, but she was using her friend as the lender. And you know, it's never a good sign when the lender calls you 3 days before closing at 9 o'clock at night. And he proceeds to tell me that, oh, the townhome, you know, Michelle's looking to buy, it's not FHA approved.
Oh my God.
2 days before closing. Like, what is that? You know, so we went through this whole process of, you know, getting the HOA had to approve or go through all this legwork, government documents and all that to get FHA approved. It took like a good solid 4 or 5 weeks. But during that time, man, did I feel for my clients. And I'm like, they didn't sleep.
When you know how well it could go and you're watching your clients go through that unnecessary stress and they're almost like too far in the thick of it to turn around and change directions, it's gut wrenching.
It is horrible. They had, you know, 12,000 down. They were, you know, concerned they were going to lose their deposit. And, you know, so, you know, one of my many hats is therapy. So
Yep.
I went through that process, held their hand, day and night, at all hours. But the worst part, I think, for me was that I did not have a team to work with. I was in the dark, the lender, the attorney. Let's just say that they're not on speaking terms anymore. They're no longer friends. So,
My God.
That's
yeah.
that's unfortunate.
And
Yeah.
that's when I decided, okay, if this is going to be a successful venture for any of my clients, I need a team, and we need to work together and, lay out the expectations, not just for our clients, but for each other.
Right.
So that's kind of why I built this little round table.
I love this.
Yeah, it helps in so many different aspects. I mean, even if, like, for example, I have a seller who currently is working with their own attorney, but I know I can bounce ideas off of you if
course.
something comes up. So that's, I mean, just to have that resource at my fingertips is amazing. So we'll see how that goes. I'm like, are you sure? Who is this attorney?
I'm here if you need me. I'm here if you need me, no matter what.
Thank you. I appreciate
But you know what? That's crucial because, I always tell my clients, and of course, because of our attorney ethics, I have to ask my clients permissions, to have these conversations sometimes with real estate agents. But I always tell them, I'm like, you guys know things that I can't possibly know. You're on the ground. You talk to the listing agent or the other agent on the other side. You know the personalities of these people. And that's really important when you're talking about negotiations and when you're talking about just dealing with people in general. So I think your other attorneys are missing out on a great opportunity if they're not on the phone with their agents all the time on these transactions, because not every deal is different. Every personality is different. If a client is upset about something and you don't know how to fix it, I want you to call me to figure it out together. Otherwise, what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it takes a village.
It does take a village. It does take a village.
And it's a human business. Like I guess at the core of what we do, there's a piece of property, and it's wood and it's screws and it's metal and it's, on land, but people buy homes, right? So it's a people business. Learning how to have those conversations. Listen, there are people out there who are better at math than I am, who are quicker, right? They can give you facts and figures, and there are wizards when it comes to guidelines, right?
Mhm.
They just know, and they remember, and they have such a database of facts at their disposal. They're faster than me. I'm not going to say that, but when it comes to people and having that conversation, being able to convey confidence or being able to listen to frustrations, Jen, I'm not intimately aware of that situation, but I'm sure that when that woman called you frustrated, your friend called you, maybe she just wanted to listen. She just wanted to vent. Just
Oh,
let
yeah.
her blow that tea kettle,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then take the breath, come back and be like, the question was, if it was me, where do we go from here? And
Right.
that's where your expertise comes in.
Yep.
That's why you're the expert. That's why Alex, you're the expert, right? You're the person that people go to. And that's why you can't, I don't like to look at the dollars, right? Because you can't really quantify expertise.
Right.
I mean, you ask for a fee because you know what time it takes, but somebody like yourself who's established, at that point, it's just a number. You have all that experience that they can't see, that people can't see behind you, all the closings, all the issues, all the differences, and the conversations that you have. They'll never really understand that or see that, but we know that it's there, and it's good that we can share that with people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I really don't think I don't want to say like the general public, when they're either selling or buying a home, don't realize how important it is to have a team, like a real team, or at least have some idea of how your attorney, your agent, your lender are
Right.
communicating with one another, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that to me is so important. If you don't, as a consumer, if you don't realize that you need to have all these parts and people who play these roles on the same team, it's going to be so much more difficult to get to the finish line. I believe. I've seen it. I know.
Even in a perfect world, I explain to my clients, a real estate transaction is emotional for hands down, no matter what.
Yep.
But it doesn't have to be horrendous
Yes.
if you have a good team. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this hard.
It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have such a high, you don't have to have such a low. You can, yes, because you're figuring out money. And when people give you money and the amount down that you're looking at in closing costs, yes, it can be a lot. And when you go to the inspection report, you're like, oh, right, oh, is this really wrong? And then it's like, no, it's okay. This is a very common issue. This is a not so common issue. Then when you're negotiating with the sellers, right? What is the seller going to cover? What are you going to have to do? It's a lot of emotions. And then, Alex, I may have missed this from before. Were you pregnant when you were buying?
No. Yeah. At the closing table, I was. Yes.
Okay.
My first one. Yes.
So my wife was pregnant as well. So, I mean, that brings in a whole range of emotions as well. You're
Yes.
you're looking to protect the incoming and your wife.
Yes.
So doing the best, having people who can kind of keep you even, all right? And like, you're going to come up against a road bump and maybe it's going to be like, oh, this is it. It's over. No. Let's take a breath. Let's stay in the middle, right? Even
Yes. Yes. You're absolutely right.
It is. It's very nice to stay there. You can't escape the emotions. Emotions are good. You want to get excited. You're charged, right? You've taken the first step towards building your wealth and passing something along to your children, right? Where you can entertain in birthday parties and retirement parties. It's great. Having a home is incredible. It's very emotional, but it doesn't have to be this anxiety-ridden, depression building event that people think it is. It's not this monster. You're not slaying Goliath. You're just, you're kind of just buying a home.
Right. Then I feel like half our stress on that last transaction was the fact that like it was just you and I against the world. Our team.
What the hell was going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But you're absolutely right, Kyle. Just keeping everybody calm, thinking positively, working with your team to make sure that we get through these obstacles that are going to come up. It's inevitable when there's this many people involved and there's this much emotions involved. But as long as we communicate together and we educate our clients on what we do and how things work, and whose role is what. A lot of times people will call me and they'll want to talk about interest rates or they'll want to talk about things. And I'm like, that's not my expertise.
Yep.
I can't, this is a conversation for your lender. It's okay. You can call me and bounce things off with me, but I can't give you advice on that. You have to talk to Kyle.
Yep.
And
that's the thing too, understanding that questions, people develop a comfort for somebody, for 9 times out of 10 in these interactions, they have a primary person that they jive with, right? They just have a vibe with. You might be that person for some of your clients. And it's good that you be like, no, Kyle, you can have the same conversation. I trust him or I trust Jen. You can have this conversation. So it's, people come to you because they're comfortable, but then extending that comfort towards the person with the knowledge, right? That's vitally important as well. And if you're not having a team, like Jen is saying, if you're not comfortable with that person, whether or not you know it, you're kind of giving that off,
Absolutely.
You said you don't want to overstep your bounds, but maybe if, you might try to answer it because you're not sure if you're going to get the right answer, or if you've had a bad interaction in the past. Avoiding that is vitally important, in my personal opinion.
Right. Exactly. Gosh.
Jen, thank you so much for this.
Yeah, it's great.
This
Thanks
is
for being
this is
here.
awesome. This is this the second one? Is this 2 in the bag or 3?
This is 2. We had a presentation for first time home buyers, just Kyle and I, and
Right.
then we decided, okay, let's open it up and just, start talking.
Love this.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Alex.
Absolutely. I will be here whenever you want me to.
Woo! Okay.
I
Alex,
would
it
love,
was great to
honestly,
put a
I would
face
love
to the
to
name.
give the general public more information about those initial steps during attorney review after they get under contract.
Okay. How would you like to do that?
We can use an example.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, we can use an example and we can literally like go through the contract, how I would go through it with a client. We can role play maybe so that they can see what it will be like when they're talking with their attorney, questions they should be asking.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That is a great idea. That is very powerful knowledge. I mean, yeah. Getting a walkthrough like that is, I would have thoroughly enjoyed something like that.
Right?
Yes.
Alex,
Yeah.
yes.
Or even just an introduction to like, hi, I'm the attorney in this transaction. Here's what I do in the transaction. Jen, what you do in the transaction. Kyle, what you do in the transaction, what the title company does. Because we all work together in the background, but the client doesn't see that.
Right.
And it can be very overwhelming.
It is
Yeah, because
overwhelming.
You take the edge off. It's kind of like when you buy your first car. When you buy your first car, you're not sure what goes on. You have no idea what goes on in the back, right? But if you were let in on the back and you knew what was going on when you go to buy your second car, or any subsequent usage of your knowledge is always, it tends to be less emotionally
Daunting.
what's the word? Yes, exactly. So if I had that up front before I was buying my home, like I could, like an instructional video, like a how-to, right? It's like, oh, I've watched that how-to before. I'm okay. Oh, that's my attorney. That's my realtor. That's my lender. Yeah. Okay. I know what's going on here.
Okay. Well, it's time to wrap it up. We've gone a little over an hour. So again,
Doesn't feel like it.
Alex,
No.
thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
Let's schedule our next huddle.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well,
Thank
make it a
you.
great day. Have a great Friday. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Friday. Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Alex.